Yeah, I was just wondering if could you guys explain how you figure that Hispanics are Jew?
Um, so the indigenous of America who was conquered, you understand, by the Hispanics, by the Spaniards, and got renamed,
Yeah,
classified Latinos. You know what I'm saying? Because of slavery, those are the Israelites. So
yeah.
Jew is a
You,
blanket term. Jew could talk about the entire nation, or it could talk about, you understand, the tribe of Judah, or it could talk about Judea. You know what I'm saying? The tribes that was in Judea. You know what I'm saying? So the more correct term,
yeah, you know who started slavery though, right?
who started slavery?
Well, I mean, if you're talking about the transatlantic slave trade, it would be the Spaniards and Portuguese, right?
Absolutely. And those are not Israelites. Those are oppressors. Those are Edomites.
So, so what did you say you was in partner that's sitting right next to you?
So I'm a so-called Puerto Rican, and I always forget you I know you're Asher, but which
Yesterday I'm Brazilian. Today I'm Ecuadorian. Tomorrow I'll be Colombian. It's all
yeah, so just wrap it all up together. You know what I'm saying? So for example, my father would be considered Taino. So my father would be one of the
Okay.
indigenous of the island who was conquered by the Spaniards.
Yeah, and what's your last name though?
Never settle for ordinary. Not when outstanding is within reach.
I don't have a last name. I'm Katazar. You understand?
You got no last name?
Nah,
Oh yeah,
no
okay,
last
for
name.
sure. Yeah,
My
I'm sure it's
last
like
name is
probably like mine, like Cortez, right?
yeah, but
Your people speak Spanish and all that.
so now let's say you got like a Taino or an Aztec or any, you know what I'm saying,
Hmm.
indigenous tribe that was conquered by the Spanish, right? Them
Yeah.
having the last name Cortez, as you said, is no different than a black man whose last name is Johnson. The
Right.
Johnson plantation was the one who conquered and owned them in the same way Cortez
Yeah.
conquered. So in the
Yeah.
same way that the so-called, you understand, Negro in America lost his identity and gained a surname from a white man is the same way that the indigenous of America did.
But let me tell you something though, bro. Like the brothers in the country, right? They got put on a boat by us, the Spaniards and the Portuguese, right? So to try to put us in the same
When you say
situation as them, it's not the same thing.
no, but I think you were a little confused. But when you said us, who's us that you were talking about?
I'm Hispanic as well.
Okay, you're Hispanic,
I'm a Hispanic, bro.
but are you Spaniard or are you Los Indios?
Well, I mean, we all got some kind of Indian running around somewhere, but as far as I'm concerned, like my mom and dad speak Spanish, and my grandparents, everybody in my family. So to me, there's no difference. Like and then if your people do speak Spanish, which I don't really see it, bro, but and then Partner said next he looked Mexican, but maybe his people speak Spanish. Like there's no way for us to say, okay, we took these people as slaves, we dropped them off over here, we dropped them off over there, but we in the same boat as them. It don't make no sense.
So I think you a little confused on what we teach. I think that you got like an overview and you don't, you know what I'm saying, really understand the depth of it. You know what I'm saying? It's just because you don't have enough information. But
Well, I've seen a couple of things like when the old dude with the braids, he be talking. I heard him say shit like, "Oh yeah, we go off of Deuteronomy and this and that." But that really, if you think about it, don't make no sense, right? It just all of it don't make sense. And then for us to sit here and be like, I love black people, right there. I'm from San Francisco. We fuck with blacks, right? But for me to act like I'm black is not gonna work, bro. And then for me to pretend something else, it just don't. That ain't it, bro. You know what I mean?
nobody see like I think that what happens is people associate like blackness with strictly like the tribe of Judah. So nobody's telling you.
Well, I say I'm trying to, and all respect,
hey, you see how
is Negro.
you see how I gave you the respect of the floor, and now I'm responding.
Yeah, you go ahead.
I appreciate you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I think that when people turn around, as you say it, they just think Negro or Judite. You know what I'm saying? But when we turn around and say all tribes are black, every tribe has their own flavor. You know what I'm saying? So we're not talking about, you know what I'm saying, you being a Judite, but Judites and Ephraimites are cousins and they are family. And there's something that we all have in common. We all suffered through a diaspora. We all suffered through colonization. And I'm not talking about the Spaniards. If you're a Spaniard, then you're a part of the problem. If you're Los Indios, then
I'm a Hispanic. I'm Hispanic, like the brother that's sitting next to you.
I don't think you understand. Like, you don't make a difference. We make a difference. So just because somebody's labeled as a Hispanic or a Latino doesn't make them my brother. You know what I'm saying? What makes them my brother is if you got Negro or Indian descent on your father's side.
What makes the difference?
I just told you what makes.
I didn't hear that part. Sorry.
You got to pay attention to what I'm saying and not homeboy that's talking to you.
I didn't hear it cut out.
So what I'm saying is that what makes the difference is if you're of Negro or Indian descent on your father's side. That's what matters.
All right. So you got Indian in you, then you're a Jew.
Yeah, well, I mean, it would depend on the tribe, but if that's what you need to hear, yes. If paternally you have Indian in you, not East Indian, you know what I'm saying? Feathers, not dots. All right?
Yeah, I can hear you. It's just like, see, I heard him say one thing like, yeah, man, they brought us over on ships and all this, and then you keep on reading the quote and say, but nobody would buy you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which it kind of like made me say, well, what the fuck is he talking about then? If he's saying he's trying to make it seem this way, and then if you just keep reading a little bit and say, and no one's going to buy you, which, I mean, I don't know if you know, but when we brought these people over here, bro, like they got sold, bro.
Yeah, so when you say we, maybe you are a...
Yeah, I'm Hispanic, bro.
Okay, so what I'm saying is, are you a Spaniard?
Everybody, if you say you a Puerto Rican, bro, si tiene gente allá en Puerto Rico, you have Spaniard as well, bro.
So
like you can't differentiate. Like
what you're saying is,
you know what I'm saying? Like everybody has Spaniard in them. Everybody. If you're Hispanic or Latino, you have Spaniard in you, or Portuguese.
What you're saying is a myth. You know what I'm saying? Like, well, not everybody mixed. Not everybody is a product of rape. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to stop.
You're right about that.
You got to stop watching movies. So as a result,
what do you mean?
What I'm saying is the Tainos still exist. That's what I'm saying.
Yes, yeah, I know.
The Aztecs still exist. So as a result,
no, they don't. But
yes, they do.
I get what you're saying.
And what I'm saying is the people, not the empire.
Well, I mean, you know, like what I'm trying to get at though is, you get what I'm saying. Like you saying, okay, we brought these folks on boats, right? With all due respect and no disrespect intended. My people brought their people a long time ago over here on boats, and you saying that, well, we all the same thing. But if you read what it say too, it's like even what he's saying don't make no sense, because if you just read a little bit more, it say,
see this property on Craigslist for $4,300 a month. Well, it's been sitting empty for the last 20.
And they got sold.
So
you know what I'm saying? So like,
you don't understand because it's old English, right? But when it says, "And no man shall buy you," that "buy you" means redeem, and redeem in that context means.
That sounds. I'm you know, man, my boy. They be buying that.
You a little.
They be buying that. Like I know people buy into that, right? But listen to what you're saying, though, folks. Listen to what you're saying.
You a little incoherent right now. You know what I'm saying? So here's
sorry about that.
So here's what I'm gonna do, right? Because it sounds like you want a smoke break. You know what I'm saying? Get your shit focused. I got other callers. I'm gonna put you on mute for a second.
No, listen. Just let me ask you one thing.
Collect your thoughts.
I want you to listen to what you said, though, bro.
And you can ask me when I come back. Who's 77? Oh, Jesus Christ! We got somebody in the back.
No, we got V.
Who?
V.
Bring him on for a second.
They killed. Isaiah 14 and 21. They did the same thing to my people. So you said that they put millions of my actions. Yes, you said so. Should a murderer go to jail for murdering? Absolutely. Should a thief go to jail when he steals? Absolutely. Should a robber pay back the money he robbed? Absolutely. So why shouldn't the white man pay for what he did? That's right. One day you'll see just how it feels. Payback is a dog. It's a dog. Payback is a dog. It's a dog. Payback is a dog. It's a dog. Payback is a dog. It's a dog.
I'm in a hell of a hole. Was never expected to grow. Just obstacle sat in the road. That a result of me selling my soul. The story I'm telling is cold, but yet it's what everyone knows. The white man's the devil is known. America was never a home. Only a place of captivity, safe facility, hating, disfigure me. They claim that I'm lazy, be killing me. Maybe this slavery draining my energy. 400 years and counting. The trail of my tears is countless. The fact that I'm here is astounding, but I can't wait till this shit is surrounded. Ready to tangle my king and the angel, be ready to rap. Crack in the sky, nuclear missiles will make it official. I'm capturing every cracker surviving. Put them all in chains where they need to be. Slavery for me. And let the whole world see that with them in the cages, safer in the streets. Put the dog on a leash. Get resolved for the beast. 144, get the ruler show, we can all be at peace. As soon as the trumpets are sound, your kingdom, we busting it down. The only way justice is found, the time for your judgment is now. You'll see just how it feels. Payback is a dog. It's a dog. 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 Look, ain't no remorse in my blood, Slim. It won't be no compromise. Now it's time to feed the worms. Watch his body turn to flies. I clutch iron while you trust the lies. The next Glock I buy gon' be Gen 5. I get it customized. And sending shots off like farewell. Praying payback come back around like a carousel. Still remember your Honda's words ringing in my head like bells. Said you in his body, you fit a Lord, fuck the cocktail. Triangle choke, apply pressure to the game like I did Vondale. Payback's a bitch in a dress, she a bombshell. Revenge is dish served cold, I just hope they making oxtail. Glock fresh out the box, I swear got that new car smell. Made myself a target in the world of mad shooters. There was design 5 for our babies to pass through. In the day of our king's reign, I'll be overzealous. They bought my jealous, I bought brand new parabellums. One day you'll see just how it feels. Payback is a dog. It's a dog. 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 Yeah, you know what it is. 140 for the rebel, busy man shit, nigga. They tear their head over, nigga. I read what Eve did to Adam. I just pray my love don't lie to me. Swing the iron like stamps and I can't let no hold the lie to me. I don't feel these rappers, all they lies is hypocrisy. Ain't no competition, ain't no rivalry. Niggas think I'm playing, I don't hear one word they saying. This shit light work. Think Muhammad one of us. He might lose his life first. Suckle up and stay alert. Another cop can stretch the nigga. He ain't demon, it's an exorcism. Watch I bless the nigga. You took that open blood, then you know I'm gonna get active with picture. From the opposition, I see vision. Let me paint the picture. Rappers, can they spin? I ain't listening. Is in fact a if revenge was a woman, now I stole that bitch like Jake and Tower War. We gon' run the summer. It's gon' be historical. Thought they making plays, made them niggas call the audible. Ask who run this shit, but that question is rhetorical. Bitch, I'm the one, me cookies with the oil. I'ma get them crackers. Hell, should've never kidnapped my family. I can't be baby. Bet I be the last nigga standing. Do a life sentence for my niggas. Pray you understand me. I might put a switch on this Glock and call it young baby. How you real trigger know them dots? You a bird feeder. Claiming he a demon. What's a demon to a cold leader? What he saying something? I ain't him. This shit life. It ain't all who got this gun. It's all who gon' up that pipe first. I turn a bad situation to a game change. Bring soldiers from the dead. Just raised up the chain. Six shots. I'ma look like Aaron Jones when I run it. Never bite the hand that feeds you. You'll never get that hand back. He bitching about 10%. I don't want to hear none of that. He dropping sword. Fuck him. Just make sure you get that cover back. Look around. He ain't with us. Probably cause he never was. Now my chin like you with the angels for your brothers. Everybody won't be Richard Porter. God kill him like Alpo. Play if he want. It's laying in the trunk like Lee Malvo. A certified woman's ass nigga. I am not a toy. Hey, out with that hollow sign. Yeah, this the rim accord. Feel like Gullah Jake when I'm in Fayetteville. You feel your boy. Still up on my bread. Still, I think that's all that I do. The way I get it, boy, lost. They gon' start to call him Elroy. Fuck his game. Pop out on them demons like I'm Hellboy.
Are we good? All right, clap it up. Shalom Israel. Nosotros somos la Escuela Israelita de Conocimiento Práctico Universal. Comenzamos de 1 Oeste, calle 125, en Harlem, Nueva York, abajo de Comandante General Yohana. Shalom, Israel. We're the Israelite School of Universal and Practical Knowledge, started out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under Commanding General Yohana. And since 1969, we've been teaching the truth to you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians, informing you that you are the true Israelites spoken about in the Holy Bible. And you are not Hispanic. I know a lot of us so-called Mexicanos, Latinos, Hispanos, right? We like to say, oh, yo soy Hispano. I'm Hispanic. You are not Hispanic. Let's get into the word Hispanic. Let's see what that word actually means. Let's pull up that definition.
The word Hispanic, relating to Spain or to
Wait, relating to what?
Spain.
Relating to Spain. Okay, relating to Spain. So, you know, us so-called Mexicanos, Latinos, Hispanos, right? We like to say that we're Hispanic, but that's a name put on us by the Spaniards, the Spanish. Before the Spanish came over here, we were already living in this part of the land, right? And we're going to get into how we came over here, because we are the first people here, right? We are the first people here on this side of the earth. But we're going to get into how we came over here, because we did not originate from here. No, we did not originate from here. We're going to get into it, but you know, we like to put that name on us, the name that they put on us, right? We like to call ourselves by that name too. Yo soy hispano. I'm Hispanic, and sometimes we say it with, with pride, not knowing that this is actually a byword that they put on us because the 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 root word to Hispanic is España, which is Spain. So when you're calling yourself Hispanic, you're calling yourself either a Spaniard or you're calling yourself a you know a piece of property that belongs to Spain. And that's basically what they deemed us, right? Because of the encomienda system. We're going to get into that too. They deemed us Hispanic, and they commercialized it. They commercialized Hispanic just so it's a blanket term to all us so-called Hispanics. You know what I mean? Whether you be from Mexico to Peru, you know what I mean? They're all Hispanic, except except for I think Haiti. I think they're Latino, but they're not Hispanic because they fell under the rule of the French, which is French. They speak French, Creole. They speak Creole, which is a form of French, and it's a Latin tongue. It's another Latin tongue, just like Spanish. It derives from Latin, so they're Latinos, but they're not Hispanics. That's where it differentiates from. And also yeah, the I think Brazil too. They're not Hispanic. I think they're just Latinos because they speak Portuguese, something like that. They speak Portuguese. Am I correct, Tazio?
God.
Oh, okay, yeah. They speak Yeah, they don't speak Spanish. They speak Portuguese, which means they were just under the occupation of Portugal. But anyway, I say that to say this: we are not Hispanic. That's just a byword that they put on us. We are enslaved by the Spanish. Like, how did you get your last name, Mexicano? Your Spanish last name. You ever wondered about that? Don't know no, but you don't know nobody in Spain. Don't know any of your family members, ever been to Spain. You know what I mean? But how did you get that Spanish last name? You ever wondered about that? We're gonna get into it. We're gonna teach you how you got that Spanish last name, and it's no different how our Judite brothers got their English last names. It's no different. It's same exact way. But anyway, go ahead and finish that definition.
Okay. Relating to Spain or to Spanish speaking countries.
Right, to Spanish speaking countries. It's a blanket term. It's a blanket term. It's just to appeal to all of us. You know what I mean? Because we were all from Mexico down to Peru. You know what I mean? We were all conquered from the Spanish, from the true Hispanics. They can call themselves Hispanics because they are from España, but we're not. We are not Hispanic. It's time to take that word out of your vocabulary, out of your self-descriptive vocabulary. You are not Hispanic. So-called how does that word go? So-called Latino, so-called Hispano. You are not Hispanic. It's time to wake up. I mean, it's really ridiculous on how we take pride in these names. And before I knew the truth, I used to too. You know what I mean? Like, oh yeah, I'm Hispanic. I used to say with pride too. Yeah, I used to say my last name. My slave last name with pride too. You know what I mean? Used to be real proud of it until I figure out how I got that last name. Figure out how you know my great grandfather died in the mines of Coahuila, Mexico. You know, and then to realize that's how we got our last names, is we were forced to work the mines, forced to work the fields for these Spanish, and they gave us quote unquote Christian names. I mean, we didn't call ourselves by these Spanish names. We spoke our our prospective tribes language, Nahuatl, uh, Puripecha, you know, Quiche. We didn't speak we didn't speak that dog tongue. That I was about to say something off the wall, but anyway, we didn't speak that language, that oppressor's language. We didn't speak that. We spoke, our indigenous language. That's what we spoke, and we were forced to, speak this slave language. I mean, I'm speaking a slave language to you right now, English. We weren't speaking English. No, we didn't speak English until the Englishmen came over here and forced us to speak English, forced us to be called Toby. You know what I mean? Like, it's a slave language we're speaking right now. But we're so proud of these names, man. We're so proud of these blocks. We're so proud of these bywords and proverbs that they put on us. It's time to wake up, Raza. It's time to wake up to who you really are. You're not Hispanic. We're going to get into who you really are. It's because, we watched a clip earlier when this class started. And, this brother was actually confused. I mean, he still takes pride in our people's demise. You know what I mean? He takes pride in our people being overtaken by the Spanish, so much so that he thinks he's Hispanic. Well, he very well might be, but I highly doubt it. Because a lot of us, we like to say, you know what I mean? Oh, I got Spanish in me, just because we're a little lighter skinned, just because our grandfather was maybe a little lighter skinned, or our grandmother was a little lighter skinned with colored eyes or something. So we like, oh, we must have that Spanish blood in us. Israel, we're a speckled bird. We come in different shades of brown. You know what I mean? So like, we got to get this colorism out of our minds. We got to get this colorism, and us hating on our Judite brothers, our Southern Kingdom brothers. You know what I mean? It's got to stop. It's got to stop, because they're going through the same oppressions that we are. They're going through the same turmoil, same struggles we are, but we still try to you know different. What's that word I'm looking for? Uh, we still find differences amongst each other. You know what I mean? And they're just little petty differences that are insignificant. But if you actually look at the spirit of how we both move, we move the same way. We interact the same way. We live life the same way, because we are the same people. They're our brothers. I mean, we are the same people, same blood. They are raza también. When I say raza, I mean black and Hispanic and Native Americans. We're the same. We're the same raza, the same race. We have the same forefathers, foremothers, everything. You know what I mean? Like, we are the same people. But anyways, let's get into that other definition. I sent that Latino definition, because we like to call ourselves Latino también. You know what I mean? And we think it's something to be proud of, because we speak a Latin language now, right? We speak Spanish, which is it derives from Latin. So we take pride in that. It's another slave language. It's another dog tongue. It's like it. Go ahead.
Okay. Latin, the language of ancient Rome and its empire.
Right. So we're taking pride in, you know, a Roman stamp, a Roman brand that they put on us, because that's what it is. It's an Edomite brand that they put on us. You know, they force us to speak these languages. They force us to have these last names that they put on us. These Spanish last names they put on us, and they deprive us from Latin. Spanish deprives from Latin, and Latin comes from the Romans. That's what they spoke. They spoke Latin, and that's where you get Latino from. That's the base word, the root word for Latino is Latin. So in other words, you're calling yourself a Roman. Are you a Roman? I don't think so. I'm not a Roman. If you're a so-called Mexicano and you've been to Mexico and you see how poor our people are like out there, right? Um, that doesn't look like Rome to me, right? No, we're not Roman. We're not Latino. We're not Hispanic. If anything, if you want to go back to your roots, you're an Israelite. That's who you are. That's the truth of it. You're an Israelite. You know, before I came into the truth, I found out how um, you know, our people got these last names and how we were basically enslaved to the Spanish and how they overtook our land and all that. I was researching all that, right? Because I was wondering, where my last name came from, my slave name, where that came from. I was researching all that, and it was a province in Spain. So hold up, my people aren't Spanish. How did I get this Spanish last name? It's a province in Spain. Like I get I get how we talk Spanish because of the conquistadors that came up from Spain. Okay, and we mixed with them, so now we talk Spanish. But I didn't really understand the true dynamic on how and truthfully we were under them, right? Until I started researching, and I researched, you know, Spanish surnames, and I came across my slave surname, and it was a province in not Mexico, but it was a province um in Spain. I started researching that, and well, that province sent out, you know, its noblemen to for the glory of Spain to the New World, right? Sent out his noblemen. The noblemen volunteered to go into the New World, and that's how I got that slave last name from that so-called nobleman that came into the New World, which is what they called it, Nuevo España, which is now called Mexico, right? Well, there's a system that they set up. The Spanish crown set up a system to where, how can I say, it stated different allotments of land to these noblemen, the conquistadores. That's who they were, the conquistadores. They came over here just to conquer, to unalive the indigenous population, to decimate their heritage, and put up a new Christian kingdom over here, right? A new way of life, a better way of life. I'll put the quotes up because it wasn't a better way of life. No way, no how. This land was ours. and then they forced us to work it. We're going to get into how they forced us to work it and how we came into, these surnames, these Spanish brands that they stamped on us. Look into that article I sent you about the encomienda system, Bob Shaw. Let's pull that up. Is there a way to pull that up on screen?
Yeah.
Salaki, before we do that, Salaki, let's go into Jeremiah 17:4. Salaki. See, these systems that they put on us through the encomienda system, through the haciendas, through the different estancias that we were forced to work at. You know what I mean? We fell under Spanish rule, and we were oppressed. We were oppressed under Spanish rule, right? We were forced to work the mines to gather, commodities for the crown of Spain, and through all that, we lost our identity. They forced us to follow their heritage, to follow their God, their way of life, right? No longer could we call ourselves by our respective tribes. We had to call ourselves, Christian names, and a lot of times the Christian names that we called ourselves were the names of the encomienda owner, the plantation owner, which is that's how we got our Spanish last names. It's through the encomienda system. And it speaks about how we would, lose our way of life, lose our heritage. And it speaks about it in the Bible. We're going to get into it. Go ahead.
This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 17, verse 4. And thou, even thyself, shall discontinue from thine heritage.
Thy heritage. Our heritage is the key word for heritage is inheritance, our land. What else is in heritage? Your way of life. That's a heritage. Your way of life, the customs that you would follow, the law, statutes, and commandments that the Lord gave us. That's our heritage. Your true family name, that's your heritage. What did it say about our heritage again?
And thou, even thyself, shall discontinue from thine heritage.
And that's what happened. We discontinued from our heritage. No longer do us so-called Mexicanos call ourselves Isupk. No. We call ourselves what they call us, Mexicano, right? And that's not even what we call ourselves. It comes from the word Mexica, right? It's a bastardized form, or it's a bastardized misnomer of the word Mexica. That's what we called ourselves. But no, they just called Mexicano. It's, it's just they couldn't even pronounce our name right and just named us whatever they want to name us. You know what I mean? It's actually disrespect. It's disrespect. But we take pride in that, right? We take pride in that. Go ahead.
Okay. And I will cause thee to serve thine enemies.
Right. Since we turned away from our heritage, we forgot our heritage. Since we turned away from our God forgot us, and we serve our enemies. To this day, you call yourself Hispanic, you're serving your enemy. You call yourself Latino, you're serving your enemy. That's what you're doing. You're putting that you're showing that brand that they stamped on your back, and you're showing it with pride. You're serving your enemy. You know what I mean? It's time to wake up. It's time to wake up to the truth of of what you are doing. Like think of your ancestors on how they fought against the tyranny of the Spanish. And now you're just rolling over it and just, showing your belly up to the Spanish, calling yourself, oh, yo soy, what's that word I'm looking for? Taziar?
Hispano.
Hispano. Yo soy Hispano. I mean, you're going belly up. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. I used to do it too. You know what I mean? I used to do it too. Before I came into the truth, I used to do it too. But now I know the truth, and you know what I mean, I was set free from that. Set free from that disgrace. You know what I mean? Like you can come into the ISUPK and you can be set free from that also. Set free from all the lies that they put on you. You know the truth about your people, and that'll give you a huge advantage on how to fight the oppression set on you by the oppressor. And when I say the oppressor, I'm probably gonna get banned for this, but the oppressor is the white man. You know what I mean? Because a lot of times we want to separate the Spanish from the white man, but Spain is in Europe. The Spanish are white. They are white. A lot of times we want to think that they're different just because they speak Spanish, but Spanish is a European language. It's a white language. It derives from Latin. It's what the Romans spoke. You know what I mean? The Romans spoke Latin. Romans, Rome turned into Italy. Italy's in Europe. They're white. It's the same thing. They're a lot of times us so-called Latinos, so-called Hispanics, we want to think, the Spanish are different. No. To me, they're worse because they're the ones that came and conquered our people. I mean, and then they did it. They did it in man, through half the world. You know what I mean? It's ain't no bigger devil than that. Is that it with the scripture? Go ahead.
I will cause thee to serve thine enemies in the land which thou knowest not.
Right. We turned away from our God, and we were forced, not really forced, but we came over here in hopes to escape you know heathenistic influence on our people. That's why we came up to the new world. We were the first over here. You know what I mean? We're the true discoverers of this part of the Western Hemisphere. You know what I mean? We're the true discoverers of it. Go ahead.
Okay. For ye have kindled a fire in mine anger, which shall burn forever.
Right. And burn forever. It seems like we've been under this oppressor forever, right? Seems like you know, since 1492, even before then. I mean, it seems like we've been underneath this you know this wicked oppressor. It seems like we've been under his thumb forever because we kindled a fire, you know, against our God, our Father, the one true God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. We kindled a fire because we turned away from him. We turned away from his law, statutes, commandments that he gave us. We turned away. Okay, go ahead and drop that. Let's go into the article about the encomienda.
You want to put it on the screen?
Yeah, go ahead and put it on the screen.
Okay. The encomienda was a Spanish labor system that rewarded conquerors with the labor of conquered non-Christian peoples. In theory, the conquerors provided the laborers with benefits.
Right. See, in theory, they provided the laborers with benefits. Right. They were trying to say it was different from slavery. But go ahead. Let's get into it.
Including military protection and education.
The military protection. Why would they need military? Who would they need military protection from? When they're the ones that invaded. We need protection from them. Our oppressors coming over here to protect us from themselves. I mean, that's just asinine. Go ahead.
Okay. And education.
And education, right? Education. Well, we knew the land. We knew how to cultivate the land. We've been growing crops on this land way before they came over here. What were they going to educate us on? When they came over here, they awed at the awesomeness and the beauty of Tenochtitlan. They say it was better than Rome in their writings. In their writings, they say Tenochtitlan was more glorious than Rome. What were they going to teach us? We taught them how to bathe. We had aqueducts that we would bathe in daily. Know what I mean? We were very clean people. We had, aqueducts where we had, for the water supply for the general public and for baths. Because there's a book that it speaks about how the rituals and the practices of the indigenous people of this land, and how we would bathe before we went into the sun temple or the temple of worship. That's Hebraic customs. You know what I mean? We followed Hebraic customs. You can find those same customs in Leviticus. We followed that. And the book I'm speaking about is The Origins of the American Indians by L.E. Huddleston. Right? It speaks about all that. And we're going to talk a little bit about that book. But no, that was our customs. Even though, we came over here and trying to escape, heathenistic influence on our people. We fell off. Definitely, we fell off. You know what I mean? But we still kept some of the customs. We still kept fringes on our garments. We still kept even some of the priests wore the phylacteries around their arms. You know what I mean? We had all them customs. We had you know, the Dawadas, the so-called, you know, what people know as the Star of David, which is we call it's the shield of David, the Magun Dawada. It's not a star at all. It's a shield. It's an insignia of David. You know, the Aztec priests wore that on their chest plate. Why? Why'd they do that? Because we are those Hebrews spoken about in the Bible. We are those. We are those scattered Israelites that the Bible speaks of. That's us. Go ahead.
In practice, the conquered were subject to conditions that closely resembled instances of forced labor.
Whoa. Instances of what?
Of forced labor.
Forced labor. That's slavery. That's slavery. They try to sugarcoat it by calling it the encomienda system, right? But what it resemble?
Forced labor.
Forced labor.
And the slavery.
Right. That's because that's what it was. Slavery. Go ahead.
Okay. The encomienda was first established in Spain following the Christian Reconquista, and it was applied on a much larger scale during the Spanish colonization of the Americas and the Spanish East Indies. Conquered people were considered vassals of the Spanish monarch.
See that? We were considered vessels. Vessels. Just we weren't even considered humans. We were considered vessels, which is just property. Know what I mean? It's crazy. Go ahead.
Of the Spanish monarch. The crown awarded in encomienda as a grant to a particular individual. The conquest era of the early 16th century, the grants were considered a monopoly on the labor of particular groups of indigenous people, held in perpetuity by the grant holder, called the encomendero. Starting from the new laws of 1542, the encomienda ended upon the death of the encomendero and was replaced by the repartimiento.
Right. You couldn't get out of that encomienda until he died, and then it was replaced by the what?
By the repartimiento.
Repartimiento. Yeah, it's probably it's just another form of slavery. That's all it was. Go ahead.
So I got a definition.
Go ahead.
The repartimiento was a colonial labor system imposed upon the indigenous population of Spanish America and the Philippines. In concept, it was similar to other tribute labor systems such as the Maita of the Inca Empire and the Cavalry of the ancient regiment of France.
Yeah, they didn't let you go whenever the slave owner died, the plantation owner died, the encomiendo, right?
Right.
They didn't let you go. They just put you in another labor system. Yeah, just another form of slavery. I was right. That was crazy. Go ahead.
Encomiendas devolved from the original Iberian form into a form of communal slavery.
A form of communal what?
Slavery.
Slavery. Right. A lot of times, us so-called Hispanic, so-called Latinos, we want to think that we're different from, you know, our black brothers because they went into slavery. We didn't. Yes, we did. We went into slavery too. We're reading about it right now. We're reading about how we were enslaved also. So that brand does not escape from you, Mexicano, Latino, Hispano. That does not escape you either. You are no better, no different from our black brothers. We were slaves also. Go ahead.
Okay. Encomienda, the Spanish crown granted a person a specified number of natives from a specific community, but did not dictate which individuals in the community would have to provide the labor. Indigenous leaders were charged with mobilizing the assess tribute and labor. In turn, encomenderos were to ensure that the encomienda natives were given instruction in Catholicism and the Spanish language.
Right. So they were given, see, they had to convert. They had to convert from being, you know, um, Mexica, Purupeche. They could convert into being, you know, Hispano, Hispanic, and and to speak Spanish. And that's how we got our Spanish last names. I mean, they wanted. It's no different from the the boarding schools that our Native American brothers went under. That they couldn't be called Running Deer anymore. You know what I mean? They had to be called John. You know what I mean? They couldn't be called, you know, um, by their Little Bear, or their perspective Indian, Slovakia, Native American names that they would name their sons or daughters, right? They could no longer be called that. They had to cut their hair and be called a Christian name. It's the same thing. We blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, we went through the same exact turmoil, same exact oppression, because we are the exact same people. We are the Israelites spoken about in the Bible. We follow underneath these curses in Deuteronomy 28. We're the only people that follow under the curses to a T. It's no denying who we are. Once you study the Bible and know the truth of the Bible, and you can only do that in ISUPK, because anywhere else they're going to lie to you. You know what I mean? In the Christian church, they won't even read this. They won't even read you Deuteronomy 28, because it's done away with, right? But here in the UPK, we care about our people so much that we're going to teach the truth to our people. And a lot of times we get backlash from it, because our people do not want to change. They do not want to take that brand off of themselves. They rather just, live life belly up. No more. When are you going to, stand up and fight? And I'm not a physical fight, but our spirit, the spirits of our people are so down right now. When are you going to stand up and fight, get in the spiritual fight? Teach your people the truth, so that their spirits can be, inflamed to join the fight. Join the fight. They'll be zealed up to join the fight with you. But it's sad to say that some of our people are just not going to get it, man. It's just lost in the sauce. But our host's desire is all of Israel be saved. That's why we go out every Saturday. So it seems like sometimes we're just screaming at the trees, right? But we do what we got to do. We do what we commanded to do. Go ahead.
Okay. To protect them from warring tribes or pirates.
Warring tribes, right? Warring tribes that are trying to come against the oppressor, right? I just, or come against the tribes that were siding with the oppressor. It was most likely, right? Right. They just didn't want our people to join the fight. They just wanted to make sure to keep the quote unquote peace. That's what they were doing. They didn't want the people to come together and rise up against them. That's what it was. Go ahead.
To suppress rebellion against Spaniards.
See? To suppress rebellion against Spaniards. That's what it was. Go ahead.
Okay. And maintain infrastructure. The natives provided tribute in the form of metals, maize, wheat, pork, and other agricultural products.
Right. Metals, they forced us to work the lands. They forced us to dig the mines of our precious metals, right? Like like southern, like central and southern uh America, man, it's a very vast, rich land. There's plenty of, you know, precious metals within the land. There's plenty of you know, the land is so lush and rich. It grows all sorts of vegetations and fruit and vegetables, right? They took that to their advantage. And you know, the Spanish crown got rich off of it. I mean, vastly filthy rich off of Mexico. Go ahead.
Okay. With the ousting of Christopher Columbus in 1500, the Spanish crown had him replaced with Francisco de Bobadilla. Bobadilla was succeeded by a royal governor, Fray Nicolás de Ovando, who established the formal encomienda system. In many cases, natives were forced to do hard labor and subject to extreme punishment and death if they resisted.
What?
And death if they resisted.
If we resisted to bow our shoulder and bear, you know what I mean? We receive death. That's how they can control the uprising. You know what I mean? And that's why our spirit is just so downtrodden now. That's why we're just so reluctant to be, you know, prideful to call ourselves by their branding of us, you know, their branding of us by calling us Hispanic, Latino. It's going to take, you know, courage to stand up. And it's going to take courage to stand up because a lot of times you're going to go against your own family. What? You're saying you're not a Hispanic or Latino? You're crazy. That's just us. That's just. What, are you ashamed of yourself now? No. I'm not ashamed of myself. I'm proud of who I am, of who I truly am, which is a child of God. I'm not a, you know, property of Spain. I don't belong to you know, the people that speak Latin. I'm not that. I'm a child of God. I'm a son of Issachar, son of Israel, son of God. That's who I am. Go ahead.
However, Queen Isabella I of Castile forbade slavery of the native population and deemed the indigenous to be free vessels of the crown. Various versions of the laws of the Indies from 1512 onward attempted to regulate the interactions between the settlers and natives. Both natives and Spaniards appealed to the Real Audiencias for relief under the encomienda system. Encomiendas have often been characterized by the geographical displacement of the enslaved and breakup of communities and family units. But in New Spain, the encomienda ruled the free vessels of the crowd through existing community um, hierarchies, and the natives remained in their settlement with their families.
Right. And see, and that's how you get your communities in Mexico with different, like, a lot of times you get into towns in Mexico, there's going to be like a big family of like Rodriguez, a big family of Gonzalez, right? A big family of Garcia. Garcia is a big family. You know what I mean? And then that's why you go into like, oh, he's a Garcia also. Wait a minute, but oh boy, over here is a Garcia. Oh, they're cousins. Oh, oh man, okay, this is a big family. You know what I mean? That's how that happened. That's how that happened. And the different family members, like, let's say, oh, yeah, we must be cousins from long, third, fourth cousins. You know what I mean? And they get together and they have more kids. And then Garcia gets even bigger. You know what I mean? Like, that's Hebrews for you. That's just us. This is how we roll. And that's the story of how we got our last name. You can go ahead and drop the encomienda system. That's how you got your last name. Mexicano, Hispano, Latino. That's how you got your last name. Encomienda is no different from a plantation. That's all it is. It's a Spanish plantation. Hacienda. You know what I mean? Estancia. It's a plantation. It's a Spanish plantation. That's how you got your last name.
Salaki, sir.
Go ahead.
On this last paragraph,
Yeah, go ahead.
if I could, I want to comment on it.
Yeah, go ahead.
So then it says the encomiendas have often been characterized by the geographical displacement of the enslaved and breakup of communities and family units. So that was the old system, to displace families and units and have them work elsewhere and be slaves separate. Then it goes on and it says, but in New Spain, so this is a new system.
Oh, okay, I see what you mean. Yeah, that they kept them together.
Right, through
Yeah.
higher hierarchies.
Right. Well, it was because before they split them up to control the uprising. That's what it was. Right. Now they kept them together because they wanted to keep their family. Well, because you work harder with your sons and your daughters next to you, right? I'm pretty sure if your family's split up, you're gonna miss your kids, you're gonna miss your wife. You know what I mean? You're gonna be so depressed, you're not gonna work very hard. They found that out. You know what I mean? So anything to increase productivity. The white man is a devil, the Bible speaks of. Okay, you can go ahead and drop that. Let's get into did we go into Deuteronomy 28 and 37? This, you know what I mean? This is how you got your last name, that brand that they put on you. You know, Rodriguez, Garcia, Gonzalez. You know, whatever last names that we have.
Flores,
Flores, you know what I mean? Rodriguez, all them Spanish last names that our people have. That's how you got your last name. That's how you started. That's why we speak Spanish. That's why we bow down to a white Christ, a white Spanish Christ, because that's what they brought over here. They brought their image of Christ, which is a false image. They brought over an image of Cesar Borgia, which he was a Spaniard. You know, Leonardo da Vinci painted him as Christ. You're bowing down to a Spaniard. You're bowing down to your oppressor. You're bowing down to the devil the Bible speaks of when you're bowing down to that white image of Christ. You're bowing down to the image of the beast. It's time to wake up, Raza. And again, I'm telling you again, when I say raza, I mean blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians. Because we are raza. We are the same race. That's what raza means. Raza means race. Us blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, we're the same people, same gente. El mismo gente. The same people. The same race. La raza. Let's get into the scripture.
Okay. This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 37. And that shall become an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword.
Right. An astonishment, proverb, and a byword. And that's what we are to this day. We're an astonishment. You know what I mean? You click on any news. What are you gonna see? ICE arresting so-called illegal immigrants, and is making breaking news of the record numbers of immigrants that they're getting. Right? It's an astonishment. A proverb. You know what I mean? They like to say that we're stealing all the jobs. The Hispanics over here, they're coming over here and they're stealing all the jobs. But then they say that we're lazy. Which one is it? Because it can't be both. You can't steal all the jobs and be lazy at the same time. Which one is it? Are we stealing all the jobs or are we lazy? No, the jobs that we're getting the jobs that the gringos don't want. The gringos don't want to go out to the field and pick strawberries. They're not going to do that. The gringos aren't going to go out and fix roofs, tear down shingles, and lay down the felt paper and you know what I mean, nail down those shingles. They're not going to do that in the 105-degree weather out in Arizona. They're not going to do that. But who's doing that? Isupk, the so-called Mexicanos. They're doing that. They're the ones, carrying up those shingles on both shoulders and climbing the ladder at the same time. They're doing that. You ain't gonna see no gringos doing that. Salakia. No, but we're lazy, right? That we're just a bunch of bad hombres. That's what Trump calls us. So no pressure. But that's the image that they want to portray us. You know what I mean? Because we are a proverb and a byword. The byword that they put on us is, Hispano, Latino, Mexicano. When that's not what we called ourselves. Mexicano, like I said before, is a bastardization. It's a Spanish bastardization of the word Mexica. We did call ourselves Mexica. We did call ourselves that, because Mexica is a Nahuatl word. That's one of our native tongues, which Nahuatl is a derivative of Hebrew. You can look that up. It's a derivative of Hebrew. Even the word Azteca is a Hebrew word. I got it in my notes right here. Azteca, from Strong's H227, Az, which is time. And the Strong's H8497, Teca, encampment of people, Azteca, people of time. Azteca, it's a Hebrew word. Nahuatl. That's what we spoke. it's a derivative of Hebrew because we are Hebrews. We are the Israelites spoken about in the Bible. Go ahead with the scripture.
And a byword among all nations, whither the Lord shall lead thee.
Right. And a byword, a proverb and a byword. So we're no longer known as Issachar. We're no longer known as Gad. We're no longer known as Judah. No. We're known as a byword. Now we're known as Latino, Hispano, Hispanic, Native American, savage, African American. Those are bywords that were put on us. Okay, drop that, and let's go into Deuteronomy 28:49. We're going to get into how we fall under these curses, on how we are, what's the word I'm looking for? Identified as Israelites in the Bible is because we fall under these curses that we're about to read. We fall under these curses, and that's how our spirit aligns with the Bible. We are the only people that fall under these curses. Go ahead.
Okay. This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 49. The Lord shall bring a nation against thee from far.
Right, from far, a nation against us. We were over here in Arsareth, right? We're over here in the new land where never mankind dwelt. You know what I mean? And the nation from far came against us. Go ahead.
Okay. From the end of the earth.
From the end of the word earth, you got to cross a whole ocean to get to from Spain to Mexico, or to where Cortez first landed in the Yucatan, right? That's all the way from the end of the earth. You got to cross a whole ocean. Salaki, can Tazyar, can you go help him?
Okay.
You know what I mean? This scripture right here is a sign that this happened to us. Moses said that this will happen to us, and it did happen to us. And that's how we know that we fall underneath these curses, because now we call ourselves Hispanic, Latino. You know what I mean? And we're named these bywords, and we're named, these Spanish names that we didn't speak. We didn't speak Spanish prior to the conquistadores coming over here. We didn't speak that. That dog language was forced on us. Salakia. Let me pull up that. Let me pull up that verse. My reader is occupied right now. It's Deuteronomy 28:49. The Lord shall bring a nation from against thee from far, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth. Right, when the Spanish came over here, I mean they came in on these ships, these with great big sails on them, right? They came over here in record time. In record time, they came over here, and then on their flags they had the eagle. They came over here and in search of prey. Came over here in search of glory for the crown. Because that's the spirit of the Edomites. Just like the eagle, they came over here and preyed on us. And they decimated our people. They decimated us because we turned away from our God. Because with if we didn't do that, if we didn't turn away from our God, they could never, take us over. They couldn't. They couldn't, we were just we're just too tactical in guerrilla warfare. We were hurting them at first. If they didn't have their guns and diseases, we were hurting them at first. But it was a curse on us from the Most High God that they would, overcome us. A nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand. No, we didn't understand Spanish when they came over here. That's why in the writings of Christopher Columbus, you can read about his writings, or he brought Hebrew interpreters so he can communicate amongst the natives of the land. He brought Hebrew interpreters. Why did he bring Hebrew interpreters? Because we spoke Hebrew. We spoke Hebrew. I'm going to read a section of a book entitled Origins of the American Indians by L.E. Huddleston. I'm going to read from page 88. This is like the second paragraph on that page. The only other writer this author found who's accepted the Issachar variation of the 10 lost tribes theory was Baltazar de Medina in his Crónica de la Santa Provincia de San Diego de Mexico of 1682. Although Medina, 1682, thought the South Americans and Yucatanians were descendants of the Gentile Ictan, father of Ophir, the Mexicans are originally of the 10 tribes captured by Salmanasar and of the family of Issachar, who the Indians recognized as their special ancestor. We knew who we came from, right? That's why, like earlier when I was talking about, the Aztec priests wearing the Magandawada on their shield, on their chest plate, how we wore fringes on our garments, on how the Aztecs priests had the phylacteries around their arms. That's Hebraic custom. That's Hebraic custom. We were keeping Hebraic customs, like the the bathing before we went into the temple to make sure that we were clean. That's Hebraic customs. Because we are those Hebrews spoken about in the Bible. But we want to call ourselves Hispanic, Latino. I mean, it's time for us to wake up to who we really are. Come into the ISUPK and learn your true identity, Hispano, Latino. Learn your true identity and stop being labeled as what the oppressor names you. Stop having pride in that slave stamp on your back. It's like let's go into 2nd Ezra 13, start at 40. Is he back there? Toziar,
Yeah,
can you hear me?
okay.
Okay. Let's go into 2nd Ezra 13:40.
Okay.
So we're going to get into how we came over here. Because a lot of Native Americans say that, we rose up from the middle of the earth. That their oral tradition says that We sprang from the middle of the earth. But if you really think about it, the Mediterranean, which translates Middle Earth. So they're not completely wrong, but I mean, we didn't pop out a cave or nothing like they try to say. We do come from the Middle East. But let's get into it.
This is the book of Second Esther, chapter 2, verse 40.
No, 13.
So, okay, verse 13.
Yeah, no, chapter 13, verse 40.
This is the book of Second Esther, chapter 13, verse 40. Those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoner out of their own land in the time of Hosea the king.
Right. So let's for a little back context on the 10 tribes, right? Israel had a split, right? And the tribes that were staying in the northern part of Israel separated themselves from the tribes that were staying in the southern part of Israel. They had a conflict against each other. You can read about it in Kings. And there was a split. So the northern tribes that were in the northern part of Israel got taken into Assyria, got taken into captivity into Assyria. And those are the 10 tribes. Started again.
Gone. Those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoners out of their own land in the time of Hosea the king, whom Salmanassar, the king of Assyria, led away captive.
Right. See that's how we were laid away captive. Go ahead.
Okay. And he carried them over the waters, and so came they into another land.
Right. We went into Assyria. He took us from Israel, the northern part of Israel, into Assyria. Go ahead.
Okay. Verse 41. But they took this counsel among themselves, that they would leave the multitude of the heathen and go forth into a further country where never mankind dwelt.
Right. Where never mankind dwelt. We'll go into a country where there was nobody there. Right. We decided to leave the multitude of the heathen, which means leave the influence of the heathen, leave their way of life. We're going to leave from out of their possession. We're going to escape and go into a new land where never mankind dwelt, where we couldn't be influenced by them any longer. Go ahead.
Okay. Verse 42. That they might there keep their statutes, which they never kept in their own land.
Right. Because we fell under, under the how can I say, the influence of these other heathens. We fell under, we fell to their influence, and it's where we started, worshiping idols and what have you. We started sinning against the Most High God, right? That's why we were led away captive into Assyria. But we decided to leave the multitude of the heathen, leave their influence. Go ahead.
Come on. Verse 43. That they might there keep their statutes, which they never kept in their own land.
Yeah, that's why we came over here, and we had Hebraic customs over here. I mean, there's that from that book I just mentioned. There's instances that we kept, feast of first fruits, the feast of unleavened bread. I mean, we kept all that because that's our customs. We kept all that. We wore fringes. Still to this day, we wear fringes. You go to Mexico, you'll see the Indios in Mexico wearing fringes. You see the Indios here in North America wear fringes at the powwows, at Oh, they just rock it in, their ribbon shirts. Those ribbons that are hanging off the shirt. Those are fringes. I mean, that's our culture. That's the North American Indians. That's their true culture is to wear fringes. They still do it to this day. And us in the UPK, we wear fringes on the borders of our garments. The true way on the borders of the garments. We don't wear, you know, baby doll tassels on our t-shirts. T-shirt is not a garment. A t-shirt is an undergarment. You know what I mean? It's not a garment. There's no border of where they wear their fringes. It's just at the end. A border is where two pieces of fabric meet each other. But anyway, I digress. Go ahead.
Verse 43. And they entered into Euphrates by the narrow places of the river.
Right. And this is how we got here through Euphrates, right? We entered through the Euphrates. Go ahead.
Verse 44. For the Most High then showed signs of them.
Right.
And held still the flood till they were passed over.
And flood, the flood is the tumultuous water, the many waters, right? Tumultuous many waters that we passed. How long did it take?
For though that country of verse 45, for through that country there was a great way to go, namely of a year and a half.
Right, a year and a half. So we entered the Euphrates, came in through the flood. I mean, the flood just means like great waters, right? Great waters, tumultuous waters. And the Most High held still the flood. So we came through. I believe that's the Pacific, right?
The Atlantic, sir.
The Atlantic, Salakia. You're right. The Atlantic. We came in through the Atlantic Ocean. That's the flood, right?
Right.
And we came into a new land. It took us a year and a half. Go ahead.
Okay. And the same region is called Arsareth.
Same reason it's called Arsareth, right? Arsareth. I'm gonna read a passage in the Jewish Encyclopedia, letting you know that they know who we are. They know who we are. Look, this is in the Jewish Encyclopedia. Arsareth by Morris Jastrow Jr. and Kaufman Kohler. The name of the land beyond the great river, far away from the habitation. Oh, so it's like him. Far away from the habitation of man, in which the 10 tribes of Israel will dwell, observing the laws of Moses until the time of the restoration, according to what? 4 Ezra's. I don't know how to read that Roman numerals, Salakia. The second Ezra's. Chapter 13:45. Yeah, that's just what we read. Yeah, second Ezra chapter 13, verse 45. That's just what we read right now. Check this out. This is in the Jewish Encyclopedia, right? Columbus identified America with this land. See Kaiserling's Christopher Columbus, translated by Dr. C. Gross, page 15. I mean, Christopher Columbus wrote about it in his diary. You know what I mean? And Kaisling's he translated it. This, you know what I mean? They know who we are. They know who we are. It's time for us to know who we are. You know what I mean? And the time of the restoration is now. It's time to restore our memory. Our memory. I can't say that word right now. It's time to restore your memory, Latino, Hispano, unto who you truly are. You're not Latino. You're not Hispanic. You're not Hispano. You are an Israelite. And if you're a so-called Mexicano of an indigenous descent, you are of the tribe of Issachar. We're gonna get into that right now. Let's go to Genesis 49. Let's start at 14.
Come. This is the book of Genesis, chapter 49, verse 14. Issachar is a strong ass, couching down between two burdens.
Right. Issachar is a strong ass. What's an ass? Is a donkey, right? Where do you go? Like I know down the street, right? There's a restaurant.
Come.
It's called El Burrito, right?
Come.
What is a burrito? It's a small donkey. You go into the restaurant, you'll see donkeys everywhere, right? Because that's our standard. Us Iskarites, that's our standard. You go into any Mexican household, right? They're gonna have a donkey somewhere. I know my dad had one in the front yard as a decoration in the front yard, alongside the Mexicano taking the little siesta.
Right.
Right. That's our standard. You're gonna see that. You're gonna see that in almost every so-called Mexican household. You're gonna see that because this right here is our spirit, and a donkey is a work animal. It works hard. You work a donkey hard, and because he's not gonna quit on you. You know what I mean? He's gonna get the job done. Same thing with a Mexican. Mexican, he's gonna get the job done, and he's gonna work hard for you. Go ahead.
Come. Verse 15. And he saw that rest was good.
And he saw that rest was good. What do we do in the middle of the day? We're working real hard, right? Working real hard. We eat our food real fast, and then we take a what? A siesta.
Right.
A little rest. This right here is describing the spirit of the so-called Mexican. Go ahead.
Come. And the land that it was pleasant.
Right. The land that was pleasant. We went into Mexico, right? We settled into Mexico. I don't know if you know the history of the bandera of Mexico, right? With the águila with the serpiente, the serpent, where the águila is holding the snake. Well, supposedly the old tradition goes like this, where the indigenous people of Mexico were walking through the desert for 40 days, right? 40 days, right? And they said, well, the land where we're going to settle at, we're going to see an eagle fly off a cactus with a snake in its talons, and that's where we know we're going to settle. Where we're going to settle, and that's where they saw it. They saw it in the land that's known as Mexico today, and that's where they settled, right? And that's the tale of where the so-called Aztecs and the native Americans of Mexico, that's where they decided to settle down because they saw that image. They saw that the vision. They saw that vision happen.
Right.
Well, Mexico is very pleasant. You got your deserts, but even the deserts are beautiful. I mean, you go into the desert. I know in Coahuila, not Coahuila, Slovakia, Chihuahua. They got canyons in the Chihuahuan desert. They're beautiful. I mean, you can hear the water rushing through the canyon. It's just very tranquil. It's just very real relaxing. And in the canyon, it's real cool. It's real hot. The desert's real hot, but in the canyon, it's real cool because of the water. You have a place where you can just rest from the heat. Mexico is beautiful. Go ahead.
Okay. And bowed his shoulder to bear And
right.
became,
He bowed his shoulder to bear. You go to any job site, right? You're gonna see the Mexicano working hard because this is the spirit of the so-called Mexicans, which are the Issachar in the Bible. You know what I mean? Our forefathers Issachar, just like how I read from the passage earlier from that book, to where the Mexicans are originally of the 10 tribe, captured by some in SR, and the family of Issachar, whom the Indians recognize as their special ancestor. I mean that's our ancestor. This is our spirit spoken about in Genesis. So whenever you pick up the Bible and you read it, Mexicano, you're reading your history book. This is your book. This is you in the book. Now when you pick up the Bible, you don't have to think of that, that stringy haired dog as Christ. You know what I mean? Now you can see your people in there. Christ is a Judite, is a black man from the tribe of Issachar. A black man died for your sins, Mexicano. Stop thinking that you're better than our black brothers because they went through slavery. You went through the same damn thing. Go ahead.
okay. And became a servant unto tribute.
Yeah, and we became a servant unto tribute, and you can see that to this day. When we hold camp in front of the Alamo, and when they were building the brick paved way in that plaza, that's all you would see is Issacharites on their knees, breaking their back, laying down those bricks, because he became a servant unto tribute. Any type of hard laborer's job, you're gonna see a so-called Mexican doing it, because that's just our spirit. That describes us to a T right there. In the book of Genesis, the first book of the Bible, there you are, right there in that Bible, Mexican man. Let's go into Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 68. I'm gonna break this down because this brother had on this snippet that we played before class started. This brother had some misunderstanding about this scripture, to say the least. So I'm gonna clear some things up on it, man. I'm hopefully he can hear this class and get some edification on it. And if not, I'll just dust off my boots. But nonetheless, let's bring it out.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 15.
No, 28, verse 68.
Verse 68. So, and the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships.
Right. This goes to our black brothers, right? He was saying, well, I don't want to be black. I'm not black. I don't want to be, whatever he said about that statement that he said, right? A lot of times us in the ICBK, we get deemed the BHI, the Black Hebrew Israelites, right? But that's just what they call it. It's no different from when the disciples were called Christians. They didn't call themselves Christians. You know what I mean? Right. They were called Christians. It was just like saying that those niggas over there that follow that that man that rose from the dead. That cult over there. The same way. You know what I mean? It's a byword. But go ahead.
Okay. By the way where I spoke unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again.
Right. By the way, I spoke unto thee, I'll sin no more again. He spoke to us, through the prophets and oracles of Israel, right? And we won't see that homeland. We won't see that way again. We won't see our homeland again. Go ahead.
Okay. And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for
Whoa,
bondmen.
hold on. We shall be sold, right? Did it say that maybe we should be sold?
Ye shall be sold
Right. It said you shall be sold. For what?
unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen.
Right. It said that we shall be sold to our enemies for bondmen and bondwomen. That we shall be sold for slaves. Right? Go ahead.
Okay. And no man shall buy you.
No man shall buy you. See, that's where he was getting tripped up at, right? He's like, well, they sold. I know my people, the Hispanics, we sold the slaves. No Hispano, no Mexicano, you're not Hispanic. Unless you are, and then by all means, you know what I mean? Your people did sell my people. But a lot of times us Hispanics were lost in the sauce. Us so-called Slovakia, us so-called Hispanics are lost in the sauce and don't know the true meaning of Hispanic. You know what I mean? And we like to side with our oppressor because we have Stockholm syndrome. We like to side with the winning Slovakia. We like to side with the winning side. We want to be a part of the winning side. So we say, yeah, I I think my grandfather, one of my forefathers was from Spain. It had to be. That's why I got this freckle on the side of my face. I got this blonde hair in my beard. You see it? I got Spanish in my blood. No, because if you were truly a Spaniard, you would know. You would know. You would own an estancia out there in Mexico and South America. You would know. They take uh they would take you know records of who they were because they didn't want their inheritance to go to uh el hijo de la chingada, right? They didn't want that. They didn't want that. They know who their people are. And a lot of times if you know not saying that we did not mix, we did mix, but a lot of times if they had daughters, they would throw them away. That's where the term hijo de la chingada came from, because your inheritance, usually goes to your son, so they can carry on the name. A daughter doesn't carry on the name. A daughter carries on the name of her husband. You know what I mean? So if they had daughters, they would just throw them away, and that's where the term hijo de la chingada came from. And if they had a son, then the son would carry on the name. That's where the criollos came from. A criollo is somebody that was born in Mexico of Spanish descent. So if that brother that was in the clip, if you are a criollo, no, yeah, okay, yeah, you're Hispanic, and you are an enemy to my people. But most likely, I think the brother just suffers from Stockholm syndrome. It just wants to act like he's, a part of the winning crowd. But anyway, I digress. Go ahead.
Count. That was it on 60s.
Right.
61.
No. 68. Start from and no man shall buy you.
Okay. And no man shall buy you.
Right, but read a little above that.
Okay. And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you.
And no man, you shall be sold, right? You shall be sold to your enemies, and no man shall buy you. That is not a contradiction. That is an archaic. This is written in archaic English, right? Which which means when it said buy you, It actually means to be, no man shall redeem you or buy you out of slavery. That we are still in the hands of our oppressors. We are still calling ourselves Hispanic, Latino, African American, Native American. We are still in the hands of our oppressors. Nobody has come and bought us out of this slavery yet. I hope that brings some clarification to the brother. And with that, I pass the class over to Officer Taziyar.
These are the ISUPK security announcements. We are the ISUPKs that are out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York. New brother or sister. When a new brother or sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They are here to set themselves of the world. If they need transportation, the teacher will arrange it. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister. There's another 6 months in which the brother and sister will court each other. After this 6-month period, the brother and sister will get permission from the head to marry, ties, which is a commandment. You can find this in the book of Numbers, chapter 18, verse 21, and the book of Malachi, chapter 3, 8 through 10. My Shirah means tenth in the Hebrew. 10% of every penny of any increase the Lord gives you, give to the treasury department or teacher, priest fund, free will offering for priest, not mandatory, whatsoever amount you would like. Upcoming holy convocations. Feast of First Fruit starts after the Sabbath of unleavened bread, sundown Sunday, April 20th, 2025. Count 50 days, celebrate the 50th Sunday, June 8th, 2025. It start before sundown. You can find this in the book of Leviticus, chapter 23, verses 10 to 22. Reminder to any brother or sister that wants to, also like it, to any brother that wants, reminder to any Akim or Aqua to check the bulletin board in the hallway. If anyone wants to be a trooper in the school, start wearing all black. That's boots, shirt, pants, headband, and scarf. And that concludes the ISUPK security announcement.
Amajum, which means stand. Upon Hakwadam, which means turn and face the east. We're going to do the Lord's Prayer in the Hebrew. Abanawa, Shabbat Shemayim, Kodash, Haya, Shemka, Yahweh, Malathwaka, Taba'a, Ratazayaka, Haya, Aisha, Barataza, Kawa, Haya, Bashamayim, Latan Lanawa, Lakam, Kau, Yawam, Wasalak Lanawa, Kabawat Salakia, Kabwawath Yanawa, Kasalak Nawa, Kabawath Yanawa, Wala, Baaya Nawa, Panasaya Wan, Abal, Hawashaya Nawa, Mayan, Rai, Kaya, Laka, Hamalakwath, Wahala, Wahataparath, La Awalamium, Aman. And what we said in English was, Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Yahweh, thy kingdom come, thy will be done, in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. So be it. Amen. Sorry. We're going to give one courtesy salute to the brothers. Men of Israel, Aban Shabbat, Amajim, Barak, Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Brakatah, Yadim Atah,
Sar, face the sisters. We're going to give one courtesy salute to the sisters. Men of Israel, Amajim Shabbat, Amajim, Barak, Yahweh Shamar, Lataba, Hashem Yahweh Shai. Yajim Matah, class dismissed.